up?
Yes, we are speaking with local journalists from newspapers and online publications. And today we are joined by Kevin G. Andrade from New Bedford Light. But first, let's take a look at the website, newbedfordlight.org. It's free, independent, nonprofit news organization. There's some great articles on that.
All right, Kevin, you report on immigration a lot, and recently the governor in Massachusetts said she's going to pass legislation to keep ICE out of churches and courthouses and schools. To your knowledge, has that happened? Any incidents of them going into those particular establishments in your city?
So we know for a fact that ICE has been going into district court, New Bedford District Court, and has been detaining people after their arraignments or whatever hearing they might have. We're not aware of them going into churches. Back in March, there was an incident outside of a school on the south end where ICE agents used a battering ram to get into a house on the south side of the city and detain two men leaving a household of teenagers to fend for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the general feeling there in New Bedford about the immigration issues?
So if you go into the Central America community, there's a lot of fear. People are staying at home. A lot of people are skipping out on work because they're terrified to go out. There are organizations out there that will volunteer to help people purchase groceries, take kids to school, things of that nature. But there's genuinely a lot of fear going on and people questioning what are we going to do moving forward.
Is anybody voluntarily deporting?
We have seen cases of people choosing to return home. Especially after one of their loved ones has been deported. Early on, and even to the current moment, it appears that federal authorities had been targeting men, which in the Central American community are very often the breadwinners. And we've seen several families choose to return back to Guatemala to be with the breadwinner as a result.
Just back to that courthouse incident. Is there anything to suggest that ICE acted improperly in going to get somebody they wanted?
All we know is that ICE has appeared at New Bedford District Court and detained people. We are not aware of anybody being treated improperly or the nature of their treatment. And what we do know is that there was one woman picked up at court, Candelaria Natalia Chunushpu, who was pregnant and claimed she was treated very poorly by ICE agents when they took her up to Burlington and held her there for several days, including not allowing her to speak to the doctor when they took her in for treatment.
And just back to the Latino versus Portuguese population, is there a split in how they're reacting to this?
So the Portuguese population tends to be a lot more conservative, but the Portuguese population has been hit by this too. Way back in the 90s, there was also a surge of deportations of Portuguese people back to generally the Açores, the island archipelago in the middle of the Atlantic. And those were very often people who had previous criminal records. What we're seeing now is a lot of these people who are being deported do not have serious criminal charges or criminal convictions on their records as they're being taken in.
On another subject, New Bedford has a large Portuguese population, as you were talking about. Many are watching the Portuguese presidential election coming up next week, and people who have dual citizenship are able to vote. So who are the candidates and what are the local voters telling you?
So the two candidates are Antonio José Seguro, who is a member of the center-left Socialist Party, and André Ventura, who is a member of the far-left Chega Party, which has campaigned very much on a nativist platform of getting immigrants out of Portugal and claiming that corruption has taken over the country. What we're seeing in New Bedford is a split. Although in the first round of elections a couple of weeks ago, the city's Portuguese population that voted at the consulate heavily went for Ventura. But we are seeing some people who are saying, you know, I see what's happening in the U.S. right now. I do not agree with what's happening in the U.S. right now, and I do not want to see Portugal go in the same direction.
All right, Kevin, when we report the results, we'll have you back to do the pronunciation for us. Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All right.